So, fun fact, I was never really the biggest fan of the original Top Gun, but I was still very interested to see this movie. Top Gun Maverick is a 2022 action film directed by Joseph Kosinski, starring Tom Cruise, Glenn Powell, Miles Teller, Jennifer Connelly, Jon Hamm, and like I said, I was never really the biggest fan of Top Gun, really, ever. Like, I enjoy it, but it's just not one of my favorite movies of all time. But I was still interested in this movie because I love Joseph Kosinski as a director. Between Oblivion and Only the Brave, he's a great director. And seeing how Tom Cruise is really at a point in his career where he's really allowed to get more choosy with the roles he goes with. He only goes with what he thinks is good in his eyes, and 9 times out of 10, it is good. That one time being The Mummy from 2017, which we will not get into. But yeah, I was really interested in it, so without further rambling, here's my review for Top Gun Maverick. Starting off with the good, and there's a lot that I really love in this movie. First of all, Tom Cruise, absolutely terrific in this movie. He's once again gotten to a point in his career where he only chooses what he thinks will be good, and he always gives it his all in everything he's in. But especially now with this movie, he's absolutely terrific. Probably one of the best performances he's ever given in his career, and once again, he's given a lot of great performances. He's a very religious madman with a very questionable, I won't even call it a religion, it's a borderline cult, but he's a great actor, and he really shows how great of an actor he is in everything that he does. And I just really love the way he plays Maverick in this movie. He's still the reckless guy that he was in the first movie, but he's older now and he has to take responsibility, and just seeing how he handles all that is just absolutely terrific. I really love Miles Teller in this movie as Goose's son. I am not the biggest fan of Miles Teller. I just kind of find him, I don't know what I don't like about him. I'm just not a fan of him, but I really loved him in this movie. And the only movie that I really loved him in aside from this is Whiplash, which did a great job in that. And I also liked him in Only the Brave, but this is probably the best movie I've seen him in aside from Whiplash. And I just really love the way he portrayed this character, and I love the chemistry he has with Tom Cruise throughout it, with the whole mentor and apprehensive student, the dynamic they have there. Especially near the end of the movie, the way they work together is just absolutely terrific. I really love their chemistry, like I said. Jon Hamm is kind of the main antagonist of this movie for Tom Cruise's character, and I just love Jon Hamm in everything he does, and he's a great antagonist for Tom Cruise in this movie. I love the way that Tom Cruise is always defying him, and he's just dumbfounded at how, despite the fact that he's defying him, he's actually good at what he's doing. I just really love the whole dynamic they have there, and the way Tom Cruise kind of earns his respect near the end is just really, really good, the way it plays out. Then you have Glenn Powell as the antagonist for Miles Teller's character, and I really liked him as well. He was such an unlikable jackass up until basically near the end of the movie, and I just really like the way he plays the character that he plays. Like I said, he's very unlikable for most of the movie, but I still really enjoy the way he plays the character because of how great he plays. I love the dynamic that he has with Miles Teller. It feels a lot like Val Kilmer and Tom Cruise's dynamic from the first Top Gun, which we'll get to Val Kilmer in a minute, but I really did like the dynamics between these two characters and the way that they earn each other's respect near the end, much like Tom Cruise did with Val Kilmer in the first movie and Tom Cruise did with Jon Hamm in this movie. But easily the best part about this movie is really only a 2-minute scene, and that's the small little reunion between Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer. And when this movie was announced, I was wondering, will Val Kilmer be in this movie? Because I know he's had some health issues, and I know he can't really speak anymore. But then I heard that Val Kilmer basically begged Tom Cruise to be included here, and Tom Cruise actually would not do this movie without Val Kilmer. And the scene that they share in this movie is absolutely amazing. Easily the best scene in the movie for me. It's just very emotional seeing these two characters on screen together after 30 plus years. They're reunited, and Val Kilmer, despite all of his health issues, he gave it everything he had in just 2 minutes, and it's mainly a non-verbal performance because of his health issues in real life. And yes, he does speak in the scene, but it's done through AI, and it's done very tastefully, unlike some movies that like to use CGI or AI voices to recreate a character. Don't even get me started on what Disney's going to be doing with Stan Lee down the road. But I just thought it's an absolutely terrific scene, with 30 years of history that we don't even see most of, but you know it's there. It's a beautiful scene. And if this is the last time we ever see Val Kilmer in a movie, which it probably is, it just means a whole lot more that this is the movie he chose to go out with as an actor, because this is the movie that really shot him to stardom, him and Tom Cruise, and it's just fitting that he goes out with this movie as an actor. And I wish him many more years of health and prosperity, but terrific ending to his career if this really is it. And a lot of people say that none of the female characters are really given much to do in this movie. I disagree. I do like the female characters, all the ones that we get in this movie. Would I have liked some kind of mention of Kelly McGillis's character from the original Top Gun? Yeah, I would have, but we didn't get it. It's whatever. I really liked Jennifer Connelly in this movie. I liked her chemistry with Tom Cruise. And I liked all the female recruits of Top Gun. They're also really, really good. But again, none of the Top Gun recruits are given much to do aside from Miles Teller and Glenn Powell, but everyone in Top Gun does a great job. And I really love the flight scenes in this movie. Tom Cruise actually committed himself to authenticity and did all of his stunts like he always does. This guy's pushing 60 and he's still doing all these stunts by himself like an absolute madman. I just have to respect him for that. And the flight scenes in this movie were just absolutely breathtaking. It was amazing seeing all these things go on in this movie just 30 years after the original. And I really love the emotion that's brought to the story, once again with Val Kilmer's scene, and also with how Tom Cruise and Miles Teller play off of each other and the whole back and forth they have in the movie. I just really, really love that whole thing about the movie. And like I said, aside from the flight sequences, also the aerial combat sequences, also really terrific. There's one near the end of the third act with Tom Cruise and Miles Teller. I thought it was a lot of fun. But that's about it for the good. Let's go ahead and move on to the bad. And honestly, I really have nothing here. I don't have anything against this movie. It's just an absolutely terrific movie. It's a rare case of a sequel being better than the original, and there's very few out there, but this is definitely one of them. So final thoughts: Top Gun Maverick, a lot of fun, great movie. I really enjoyed it, much better than the first one in my opinion, and it's just a really great time. Top Gun Maverick, like I said, great time, better than the first, and I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. So that was my thoughts on Top Gun Maverick. Have you seen this movie? What do you think about it? Let me know down in the comments if you have seen it. As always, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.